Mr. Cox wants to put a fence around his garden. His garden is in the shape of 2 similar rectangles and 3 similar squares. If it costs $23 to fence 2 meters of his garden, how much will Mr. Cox have to pay to fence the entire garden? Okay, so let's think, what are we trying to work out here? We are trying to work out the perimeter, okay, around Mr. Cox's garden. That's where he wants to put the fence. That's how, and that will tell us how much the length of fence that he needs. And we then need to work out how much that would cost given this information here. Okay, so we are told that the shape of his garden is in 2 similar rectangles. And that means that these 2 rectangles have the same dimensions. So this length is the same as this length. Okay, these lengths, all right? And this is the same as this, is the same as this and this. And it's the same with the squares. The squares all have the same dimensions. There's another clue that the squares have the same dimensions. We've got these marks that we've come across before. This line here means all the other lines in the figure that are the same, or the other lines that have the same marking, okay, have the same length. All right. So if this is 6 and it's got this mark and we're told that that's 6, then that's also 6 and that's also 6. Now they needn't have put this in because they'd already told us that these were squares, and we know that, and as long as they gave us one of the sides of a square, then we could work all of that out. Now, let's be sure of what we are being asked here. He wants to put a fence around his garden, and it's in the shape of these 2 rectangles and squares. They've just sort of split it up like this for us. But we don't want to, well, we're being asked, so we're being asked the perimeter, yes, of the garden. That's what we need in order to work out how long the fence needs to be. And the perimeter is this outside. So we need this length, and we need this length. It's hard to go down on the graphics tablet. It's all this bit here in blue that we need. Okay. We're not these shapes that they've used to give us information about the garden. We're not putting a fence here, we're not putting a fence here, and so on. There's no fence going to go around here. Hopefully Mr. Cox will put a gate into his fence somewhere, but we're not going to worry about that. This is what the question is asking, these blue lengths here. And we need to try and use the information we've got to work out how long this is altogether. And that's going to be the tricky part, really, is just keeping all of that straight. So what I might do is use another color, and let's see where we get. Okay, well, we'll start here because we know that this is 6, all right, and this is one of the things that we want, and this is also 6. This is 6, and this is 6, and this is 6. This is also 6, and this is 6. Now, I've put these 2 6s in here, even though we know the full length of this. And that's because we need to work out the length of one of these rectangles. And this is where we've got the information to do that. Because if we think of this as a bar model, all right, this has got a total length of 34 meters. It's been split into 3 parts, 1 part, 2 parts, and this is the 3rd part, okay? If each of these 2 parts is 6, which together would be 12, okay? I think you can probably see that if we take 12 away from 34, we're going to find out this length here. So we're going to do 34 we're going to take away 12, which is the 6 plus 6, and we get 22. And we wanted that 22, not so much that we didn't need it to work out this length of fence, but we do need it to work this part out here. So we've got 22 here and we've got 22 here. Now, what have we got? What are these? What's this? What's the length of this? Well, let's go back to here. We've got these squares. If this is 6, then this is also 6. And if this is 6, so is this, okay, which we're going to put in here because 22 is from there to there, okay? And this is 22, then this end is the same as this end is the same as this end, so this is 6, okay? Now, have we got everything that we need? We've got, this is 34, this is 6, this is 22, this is 6, this is 22. We've still got a gap here. So what do we know? We know that the total length of this rectangle is 22, okay? And we know that this bit is 6. So if we take 6 away from 22, we're going to be left with the value of this part here. So 22 take away 6 is going to give us 16. So this bit here is 16. Okay, I think we have got numbers for all of it. So what we need to do, and this is about being careful and systematic. I know in the answer book where these questions came from, what they did was, give all the points, letters, and wrote out all of the length. Personally, I find that more confusing to do, but you still have to stay very organized, okay? So what is the total perimeter going to be? Well, let's start. We've got to decide where we're going to start. We're going to start in this corner. And actually, we know, although we know that this is 6 and 6, and we know that this is 22, we don't need to do that. We've got a total length here already of 34. So we're going to start with 34, okay? And then we're going to add 6 and 22. Then we're going to add this bottom 6. Keep track of where you are. You could even maybe tick it off as you went along. Another 22. Okay, so I'm up here now. Then a 16. Okay. And then I've got, what I'm going to do is go 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6s in a row. Okay. And actually what I'm going to do, instead of let's do, so we could do 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But also what I could have thought is that, well, I'm going to make it easier on myself. 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, because I need to add all these numbers up, don't I? And I want to make it just a bit easier. And I can see where I've got 22 and 22. Well, that's so easy to double, isn't it? That's going to be 44. And then I've got these 2 6s here. That's going to be a 12. Okay, so what have I got left? I've got this 34. I've got this 12. I've got this 16. So let's add those up. We've got 34, 12, 44, 16, and 30. Okay, and this is our giant column addition. So 4, 6, 10, 16. Okay, carry that 1. So 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 13. So 113. 136. What is that? That's the total length of fence. Okay, try and label your calculations as you go along in case you make a mistake or get in a muddle. You can always go back and figure out what all of your calculations meant. Right, are we finished? Let's go back. No, remember we've got to find out the cost of this fence. And there's two ways you might choose to do this, and I don't think it makes any difference either way, because we've got this, let me do it in another color. We've got this $23 is for 2 meters. Now this obviously is 136 meters, yes? So what we could do is that one way to do it is to say, okay, this is 136 meters. How many lots of 2 meters are in 136? So I could do 136 and divide that by 2. Okay, and what is that going to give me? I'm going to cheat. Alexa, 136 divided by 2.
136 divided by 2 is 68.
That's what I thought, but for some reason my mind went blank. So there we go, that's 68. So there's 68 2-meter sections, as it were. All right, so and then we would multiply 68, we would multiply that by the 23. And if we do 68 by 23, and this is $23, we are going to get how much the fence is, which is 1,564. We can check that with Alexa. Alexa, 68 times 23. Alexa, 68 times 23.
68 times 23 is 1,564.
I'm so happy when she agrees with me. So that's one way you could have done it, or you also could have decided to work out what's the cost per meter. So if we did 23, we could divide that by 2, and that would give us a cost per meter of $11.50. And then we would multiply $11.50 by the total meters, which is 136. And we should get the same answer. Let's check. Alexa, what's 11.5 times 136?
11.5 times 136 is 1,564.
Fantastic. Of course, I expect you to do all these calculations yourself, and you can do it. Don't panic about these decimals. But if you don't like the decimal, then you could have done it this way. It's just going to be a long multiplication. And all you need to do is just make sure that you've got your numbers nice and neat in the correct columns, and put in a 0 for the second row of multiplications. Okay, but again, this just takes practice. All right.